IDF introduces.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
No lah. I just met it a couple of times.
So Ben, I read your story yesterday. YTL is going to roll out this new 4G LTE network in June 30th. And they say it's going to be one of the fastest network in Malaysia, if it's not the fastest, right? But the big question is, are the consumers willing to pay more for this network?
Well, their strategy is not to get consumers to pay more. Their strategy is actually to sell it for cheaper. They want to compete on pricing and the quantity of data that they provide. Yeah. So they want to be the disruptor actually, if you look at it that way.
Like what Dato' Yeo said, it will be cheaper than the incumbent operators in the market like Digi and Maxis. Do you think people like you and me will switch to YTL Yes network?
There is some problems with switching to their network because theirs is purely a 4G network. So if your phone is a 3G phone, you can't use their network. So you need to buy a new device. So that's something that they've been working on. They're trying to bring in new devices so that people can join their network.
So YTL say they can support about 5 million users altogether. For each user, they can support 5 gig. And you say assuming that each of the user they spend about 35 ringgit per month in ARPU, how long do you think they can take to get back their investment?
Okay, that's a very conservative estimate. Assuming they get ARPU of 35 ringgit and they use up half of their capacity, they could get about 1 billion ringgit in revenue a year. But we don't know what their margins are going to look like, and we don't know whether their operational costs are going to go up significantly. But what we do know is that if they can hit those sort of numbers, it looks very promising that they'll be able to recover, start recovering their investment, which is a big turnaround for investors been waiting for 6 years.
So they have another asset in England as well. It's called Wessex Water, whereby they operate water concessionaires in England. And it has actually contributed about 82% to the group's revenue. What kind of effect do you see to the company after Brexit?
The effect of Brexit on the pound is going to directly affect the earnings contribution from Wessex. The problem with them is that right now, most of their other units aren't performing very well. So they have a very large exposure to Wessex, like I said, 82%. So the bright side is they will not have to take the full impact of this because the depreciating pound is going to cause inflation to go up. And the payment for Wessex Water is adjusted for inflation.
So what's Dato' Yeo's argument on that? You say it's regulated asset, but what kind of things that English government is doing it?
Okay, so basically it's a regulated asset, so it's the government sets the price, or it's a predetermined price. And one of the factors for this pricing is inflation. So if inflation goes up, higher than what is predicted, then they will get an upward adjustment as well. So this should offset some of the foreign exchange losses.
And that's not the only problem in England, right? YTL has another asset subsidiary in Singapore. It's called Power Seraya. Net profit has been plunging as well over the past few years to about 2 million Singapore dollars. What actually happened in Singapore?
Well, unlike Malaysia, Singapore is a merchant market, which means every day the power generators compete to generate. And if your pricing is not good enough, you just don't generate. So right now they have an oversupply of power, and everybody is suffering from this, not just YTL. But the good news is that YTL says that they have other auxiliary businesses that are not in this market. They sell steam from their power plants, and they also have oil tanker business in Singapore.
So apart from all these non-performing assets, right, what are the bright spots that we are looking at in YTL Power?
Okay, they should get the extension for their Paka power plant at some point, and when that starts firing again, it should start contributing to earnings. They also won the arbitration with Petronas, is what I understand. So when they get cash in from the arbitration, or they reverse the write-downs.
What about dividend in YTL Power?
Okay, so YTL is pretty much a dividend stock. Well, it should be a dividend stock. So if they can start paying dividends consistently again, now they're not tied up paying for the capex for this network, it should start to see a revaluation of the stock. But to do this, they need to get their earnings in order.
But Maybank came and say something on their dividend too, right? They say that they have the net borrowing actually came down. They have the cash. They are able to pay dividends to to the shareholders?
Well, they're capable of doing it. They definitely have the cash to do it. They have the free cash flow to do it as well.
Yeah.
The question is whether management wants to pay it or not, and that's the that's the question.
For more on the stories, pick up a copy of The Edge Weekly at all good newsstands.